I'm Jeff Philbin, and this is Dinner DeeAs. We can't make dinner for you, but we can at least give you some great ideas for what to have and how to do it. Today, our final day of checking in, how a handful of our favorite restaurants made it through the recent storms, along with a recipe direct from a restaurant menu to your dinner table, chicken marsala, plus a delicious way to do duck and delightful light dessert of olive oil cake. As we all know, Hurricanes Helene and Milton carved a path of destruction through our region. The recovery process has touched everyone, whether it affects you personally, or friends, or family. Throughout this week, we'll be reconnected with friends of the show whose restaurants were impacted and see how they're doing now and revisit a few of the recipes along the way. We're starting out with Chef Jason Lutz, owner of Grace Restaurant and Pasta Grill. Like the whole of that area, Grace suffered extensive damage and are slowly reopening with outdoor seating and takeout orders for Thanksgiving, but have new seating on order and hope to relaunch soon. Chef Jason joined us to share a recipe ripped from the pages of his menu, the classic chicken marsala.
Drop our chicken in. Get a little sear on there.
And what kind of flour are we working for?
It's all-purpose flour.
Okay.
When we start putting the chicken in, it's going to cool the pan down. So if you throw everything in there all at once, it's not going to come out the same.
So you could say, hey, if you needed to because of your family or who you're entertaining, you could do it in batches.
Absolutely. You could do a little bit at a time, and we're going to cool down the pan by adding a little bit more oil back to it. That way it doesn't keep burning.
And what type of chicken are we working with?
This is chicken breast.
Okay.
Chicken breast.
And this is the best for having chicken marsala. Chicken breast?
Yeah, you could do it with a chicken thigh in the same manner.
Okay.
Pre-cook it, take it off, cut it up, and put it back into that's actually what we do at the restaurant. We'll take a chicken thigh and then work it back into the marsala sauce itself. So there's pieces of chicken in there as well as the breast that we present.
So the chicken, it was
chicken
done?
Looks good. It's ready to go for our next step.
How do you know that it's done? What are you looking for in particular?
Well, you look for it to be, kind of take a little peek at it and kind of look in the fattest area and see if there's anything raw in it. A lot of people use a thermometer and make sure it's at about 169 degrees. There's various different ways, but you can just kind of tell by looking at it. And we're going to heat it up a little more, so we don't want it to heat. We don't want it to cook too much. We're going to end up heating it up with the sauce at the end.
Sure.
So we want it to kind of be right on the edge.
So that way, then you're not going to dry it out.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, perfect. So then, what just went into our pan then?
So we dropped a little butter in the pan that we just used for the chicken, and we're going to start searing the mushrooms.
And the trick is, don't think that you need another pan. Use the same pan.
It's got all the flavors loaded in there from the chicken that we just cooked. We can go ahead and add the shiitakes in there. Pull a little bit of these out to speed it up.
Now, shiitake mushrooms, hard to find? Are they expensive?
Right now, you can find all kinds of mushrooms. It's mushroom time.
Yeah.
You go into any supermarket, they're going to have various types of mushrooms. Oyster mushrooms, those are really nice. Those are a little bit more delicate, so you would have to, treat those a little bit more gently than something like a shiitake or a cremini mushroom. And
when you have mushrooms side by side, can you taste the difference between each of the different varieties?
I think you can. I think it's a texture thing. Like you said about the moisture contents of everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes, just the way that it cooks up, and some of them will just turn a little bit softer, and some of them are a little bit more firm and hold up to more heat.
So just a little bit of butter.
Yeah, let's get a little bit more moisture in there. We could add some of our shallots. I like to do this kind of as it gets going so they don't just disappear. So we could add our tomato paste. We're starting to build the sauce now and get some browning on this tomato paste. We're going to take a little bit of a flour that we used earlier just to get it kind of thick a little bit, not too much.
Now, with the flour here, that's just very light.
It's going to be a binder. It helps kind of speed up the thickening process as we move along through the rest of the dish. So we're going to, now that we're getting a little bit charred up, some nice color on the tomato paste, we'll put some garlic in there.
Okay.
And a couple bay leaves, those toasted with the tomato paste.
It smells so good.
Looks like you're getting to a nice point. We could start adding some wine. And then once again, it'll start absorbing into the mushrooms, and we'll start creating our sauce. Looks like we're getting a good amount of the wine cooked down.
So we just wanted to thicken that just a little bit and then just add a little bit more liquid back into it so we can concentrate those flavors. And now what are we looking for?
For the rest of it to come together, we're just waiting for some reduction, which sometimes will take a few minutes for that to all happen.
And gotta be chicken marsala with a
Now
little bit of marsala.
we're gonna add a Marsala wine, let that start cooking down.
And what's this going in next?
So now we got a little bit of heavy cream. Now we're gonna heat up the chicken again, put the breast back in, while we finish up the rest of the dish.
Oh, it's fantastic.
So we get a nice little mound of our mushrooms, and we're gonna finish up with a couple garnishes, some fresh parsley. And we have some microgreens, which is a mixture of parsley, looks like some chervil.
Absolutely beautiful for an Italian classic to be reimagined in such a way. Look how stunning this looks. Absolutely beautiful. Grab the recipe for Chef Jason's chicken marsala and the Parmesan polenta he made with it at DinnerDeas.com. When we come back, we head over the Skyway to check in with a chef who brought us a beautiful butter-free bake ahead on Dinner Diaz. Welcome back to Dinner Diaz. This week, we're checking in on chefs around the area and finding out how restaurants are recovering from the havoc caused by Hurricanes Helene and Milton. Next up, Chef Caitlin Dangaran, Executive Chef of Bistro at Sarasota Art Museum of Ringling College. They reopened quickly after the storms, and her bistro even offered free coffee and soup to visitors, and the museum offered free admission. Chef Caitlin joined us to make a cake she's described as her specialty, one with a notable absence of butter.
It's super light and perfect for any season. You can mix it with anything, and the best part about it is it's so easy to make. We're just gonna crack 2 eggs in a bowl.
Okay, and so you're going egg yolk and egg white here.
Yep, whole thing.
Okay.
You want the egg white to fluff it up a little bit, and then we're gonna add just a little bit of sugar.
Just a little bit of sugar.
It's good.
It's
I like
good.
sugar. You know, it's cake. You want
cake.
sugar.
You gotta have a little bit of sweet.
You gotta have a little bit
Have a little bit.
And then we're just gonna kind of mix that together. You know, and the best thing about this cake is there's no over mixing or under mixing. Nothing needs to be precise. And so then the next thing, we're gonna add all the wet ingredients first. So a little bit of milk.
A little bit of milk.
Yeah.
Whole milk we're using?
Whole milk, always whole milk.
Always whole milk?
Yeah, I usually always use whole milk. It's just, it works better with all the ingredients.
Okay.
And there's no butter, so you
There's
want a
no
little
butter,
bit
so
of
you
fat.
get that little bit of fat content behind that. Okay.
Then this is kind of like your acid. I use Vinsanto, which is a fortified Italian wine. Then the last thing we're gonna add is the olive oil. Don't worry if the olive oil doesn't combine completely. It's not a problem. We're gonna move to our dry. We're gonna put just a little bit of baking soda in the flour. And then I am an Italian chef, so I never cook sweet without salt. So we always put salt.
How important and why is that? What is, you're saying I always do, but
Always.
someone at home is like, I never heard that. I don't know how to do it.
I always
So
put a little pinch of salt in anything I'm baking that's sweet because it balances it. You don't want it to be salty. Like you saw the amount that I put in here. It was just a
little
pinch,
bit.
but you want to be able to balance some flavor. You saw how much sugar was in there. So a little bit of salt on the back end kind of like rounds the palate out. It makes you want to keep eating whatever it is you're eating. You're like, what is that? It's really balanced and flavorful. So I always put a little bit of salt.
Just a little bit. Okay, and that helps accentuate everything.
Exactly, exactly. You want to help me sift?
I'd love to.
This one's the easy part. So all we're going to do now, here you can get this, and I'll help you. And then we're just going to sift into the dry. And this, here, you want to do this?
Yeah, sure.
Perfect. And this is really just to make it light and airy and fluffy. You know, you almost always want to sift your ingredients. You've got that baking soda in there, so you want that to kind of combine throughout everything. And this, honestly, is the hardest step of the whole thing, so we're really lucky.
So we're just going to whisk everything together?
Yep, and this cake, you do not have to worry about over mixing or under mixing. You're just mixing until it's completely combined. And then we're gonna pour it right, and I use a glass baking dish, and now-
It already smells fantastic. Like, you know, something like a cake batter already brings it.
Yeah.
And because of the olive oil, it's like such a different kind of smell and aroma That's kind of like, all right.
I know. I love this. I love this one. And the good thing about this is I do bake in a glass baking dish, but I have made this in muffins. I've made it in loaf pans. I've made it, it's such a versatile batter. You can kind of bake it in whatever you want. I've actually seen people make wedding cakes with it. It's very versatile.
Really?
So I'm just gonna get a little pan. I'm gonna spray everything down, like to cover nice and evenly all the way through the bottom. And then that's it.
All right, you think this is all well incorporated?
Perfect.
All
It
right.
looks great.
And then we'll just go straight in.
Straight in.
Straight in.
Super easy. And that batter is that consistency is perfect. That's just what you're looking for, just combined all together. And then we're gonna pop it in a 350-degree oven, and it usually takes about 30 minutes. One thing I like to do before I test things is I grab a little toothpick.
Okay.
And I kind of pop it right in the center and I pull it out. And if it's dry and there's no batter stuck on it, then we're good to go and it's done. We've got our beautiful olive oil cake. It's rested, it's ready to go.
Okay.
Super easy, we're just gonna cut a slice. You can, I always tell people the same thing, like whatever you want to put this. If you like a la mode and you want ice cream with your cake, do ice cream. If you like, whipped cream, do whipped cream. Sometimes I use whipped creme fraiche too. It's really whatever you love.
It's really whatever you want.
Yeah, and berries. I love berries with it. This is going to be more of the consistency of like a pound cake.
Okay.
So you want something to brighten it up a little bit.
Okay.
So I'm going to use a little bit of strawberries and a couple blackberries, and then I like to finish it just with a little bit, our same handy dandy sifter, and just a little bit of powdered sugar right on top.
Look at that.
And that's it. You're totally done. Easy, easy. So,
With no butter.
No.
Just a really good olive oil.
I love it. It's like pound cake with olive oil.
It really is.
You can't go wrong with pound cake.
It's super moist. It's super moist.
Yeah, the olive oil really gets it right there for you. You don't need any butter. The eggs keep it light enough. And then the touch of salt really helps to balance.
To make Chef Caitlin's cake and panzanella masala with bread, tomatoes, and so much more, visit dinnerdeas.com, where we also have a link for more on her bistro at Sarasota Art Museum of Ringling College. After the break, it's duck season as we showcase seasonal local produce ahead on Dinner Dias. Welcome back to Dinner Dias. We're revisiting restaurants and recipes from around the region as we check out on with friends of the show who've made it through the recent storms and need your business. Next up, Clayton Perrette. He's the executive chef for Hugh Parlor and Chop House at Dunedin's Fenway Hotel. They weathered the storm and reopened with a Raise the Roof fundraiser at their rooftop bar, contributing to a $10,000 check for the American Red Cross. Chef Clayton joined us to share a dinner idea for duck. One of my favorite proteins of all time, duck.
I second that motion.
It's such a beautiful, beautiful,
It is.
beautiful protein to work with. So what do we got going on over here?
So what we're going to do here, I have two breasts. We are going to render this fat. I want a nice crispy duck. I did a little bit of scoring work, so it cooks a little bit quicker. What am I doing with these ducks?
And the scoring was just so you can see all those hash marks right there.
That's
just
it.
so that way then you can be able to.
You want a little bit of marking, and also when you to alleviate some of the pressure from that heat trying to get through that fat. That fat's very thick. We score to get that 70% flesh to come up, so it starts helping in cooking. With the cooking process, we're gonna put it in a coal pan on very light heat. We're gonna just let that fat and that heat meld together, and the fat will start pushing its fat out of it.
Okay.
As we go, we'll do a little bit of straining. You can keep that fat, you can use it. Some of our ancestors used to take and seal some of their canned goods with.
Yeah.
You let it sit on top. For this portion, you can always use it in your dirty rice, just really good rich flavor.
Okay.
Especially with our duck, it's a very good lean piece of meat. A lot of good vitamins, a lot of cool things that go with this. You get, I love it purposely for a little bit of omega. You get some good iron, you get some good protein. One of the biggest, I think, hurdles to duck is the gaminess, is what I hear.
Sure.
A lot of.
Sure.
Now, a cool approach to that is you take a little bit of buttermilk, you can take some milk and soak it.
And that will help with the lactic acid starting to break that down?
That's it.
Okay.
That pulls and draws that iron out of there, and you get the flavor that you don't like to come away from it.
Now, but speaking of iron, you've got cast iron here.
Yes.
Is this your preferred method to be able to use?
Not necessarily preferred, but recommended. Highly.
Recommended then. So if someone at home does not have cast iron,
that's completely fine.
Completely
Your normal
fine.
skillet that you have at home, whatever brand you have, the secret to this is just very low heat, patience. Take your time. It takes about 10 minutes to fully render. Another good way is to flip it up, occasionally check it. You'll see the fat start to like blister and get crunchy.
Sure.
And that's that factor you're looking for.
how's it coming along?
So a little tidbit on this. While it's rendering, you want to strain the contents of it. That way, as you're going, the skin has the ability to fry and get crispy. What we're going to do now, we're going to flip this duck. From here, it is up to you. Whatever temperature you desire.
Now, you got any tricks for slicing duck?
So the beauty behind this is that you have a little bit tougher side because of the crispiness. You have a little bit softer side on the back of it. So what I like to do with my duck, always good, heavy, sharp knife.
Okay.
And then I cut it on a bias.
Okay.
I like a little bit more of a longer approach to it. And it however you want to cut it. I like them smaller pieces. And from here, it's our last little bit. Now I have a slotted spoon. I like to strain it so we can see our pecans.
Oh, yeah.
The prize in here is the sugar cane, but I like a good bit of crunchiness, so I want to strain a little bit. And we'll put that right over the top.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll take it.
And you know that's just going to fill in all those little bits right there.
That's it.
Oh.
There's a little extra syrup on top. Not too much. The syrup is going to be a little strong from that good molasses.
Sure.
But just enough to kind of give it a little extra flavor. You got the nice sweet and you got the nice salty that sits next to it.
Watch the full episode and grab the recipe for Chef Clayton's duck breast and dirty rice, plus how he makes corn ribs, all at dinnerdeas.com. After the break, one last check-in, this time in Tampa, and we make a surefire shrimp spectacular ahead on Dinner Diaz. Welcome back. Every day this week, we've been digging deep in the Dinner Diaz recipe box and revisiting restaurants around the area to see how they've been getting back on their feet after Hurricanes Helene and Milton. Our next guest grew up in Jamaica, so he's no stranger to storms. Chef Andrew Ashmead runs the Jerk Hut with locations across Tampa, lots of which lost power, and while getting supplies back, it was difficult. He's now up and running, serving dishes like his Jamaican curry shrimp.
All right, so we're gonna crank it up. Here we go, we got some oil in there. Same thing again. We're gonna do it now, put some curry in there, get that curry to release its flavor.
And that's the same curry powder that we have for our potatoes?
Same exact one.
Okay.
So we're using a Jamaican curry powder. Like I said, it has a little bit more.
Now, is that gonna be easy to find in a local grocery store?
Well, you know what? Any curry powder is fine though.
Okay.
I just like Jamaican curry powder because that's what I grew up with.
It's a
while
little bit
I'm
home.
using it, yes. But any curry powder is fine.
Okay. What else did you just add in?
I'm adding in the sliced ginger, some chopped garlic. I put the onions in there so we get a little bit more flavor going on in that. Okay. And now we can dump the curry, the shrimp in. And you know, once the shrimp starts firming up, you'll see it. We're gonna add our.
Now, what kind of shrimp do we have here?
So we're using, the size is 21-25, which is rated as a jumbo shrimp.
Okay.
And it simply means that there's 21 to 25 shrimp per pound.
Per pound.
That's
for
it. Yeah.
What's next?
So we're gonna add the potatoes that we just cooked.
Okay.
And they're nice and soft. They'll also add some thickness to the dish.
Okay.
Red, yellow, and green peppers in there.
Okay.
Yeah, represent. And then, you know, you want to get that buttery taste going with seafood. Seafood loves butter, you know? So
I love it.
Here, we're putting that in now. So we're gonna add some scallion.
What's next? What are you adding next, though?
So I'm gonna add, I just made a cornstarch slurry, which is just cornstarch mixed with some water.
Okay. Now, what's the purpose of having a slurry? What's the purpose of a slurry, period?
Well, a slurry, you want it to be smooth and you want to have a certain consistency and thickness in the dish.
Okay.
So that when you spoon it over the rice, it doesn't run between the rice grains.
Okay.
You kind of want it to sit in between.
So a slurry being cornstarch and water is going to help thicken and have that nice coating that you want. Could you have done a roux and done flour and butter and thickened it that way? Would that have changed
a roux
the...
would be like using a riding lawnmower to cut the square grass. We don't need it for this. We don't need it.
answer I've ever heard for that.
We just need a little thickening agent right here. It's bursting with flavor already. The star of this show is the curry powder.
I absolutely love that. You're absolutely right. Okay.
So here we go. We're just going to spoon some on it. And you don't want to put too much because you don't want it to be too thick.
And you can
just
always
want it to
add.
have- You can always add. Right.
So, okay.
Here we go. You know, the greatest thing about Jamaican food is that Jamaican food touches. A lot of cuisine, the food, the protein doesn't touch. We like when we surround what we're eating with everything that we're eating because it's going to get mixed up anyway, you know what I mean?
Yeah. What do you like the most about this?
I love the fact that even if you don't have dinner planned, it's a dish that you can prepare so fast. You can make the entire dish in the time it takes to prepare the rice. Yeah, man, that's the beauty of this dish. Everything kind of blends right in. I was telling you before, you know, that potatoes, the curry potatoes sets the
Everything.
the whole flavor for everything.
Everything. And it just really sets the tone for it all. My friend, this was an absolute work of art and a joy to be with you today.
Man, yes,
So
indeed,
much
man.
fun today. So much fun. To make Chef Andrew's Jamaican curry shrimp for your dinner tonight, and we got it done less than half an hour. Grab the recipe at dinnerdeas.com. And to get it even quicker, just pay him a visit or any of the local businesses we've showcased this week or your favorite neighborhood joint. They need you. I'm Jeff Philbin. Thanks for watching and see you next time for more Dinner Deas.